Hi, everyone. It's good to see you. This is not going to be a real long live. I bet you're kind of glad for that. I tend to get a little wordy sometimes, but I'm trying to not be quite so bad. Today, we're going to discuss the differences in cults such as Scientology, who masquerade as a church or a religion, versus religion or more mainstream religion, and what the differences are. And I know that a lot of us, we know, but at the same time, it's kind of interesting to see how close some of them do come to being one and the same sometimes. But anyway, I'm doing this because I'm kind of leading up to. I'm wanting to talk to some of our members of our chat, or even the lurkers, the replay crew, whoever, about your experiences with churches that maybe we don't think of as being culty, but maybe they are. And it may be a specific church, not necessarily the whole denomination. And so I'm kind of wanting to talk to you all about that. So this is kind of a lead in. And I see several of you are here already, and I thank you for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and get this started, and then I'll check back with the chat in just a little bit. While we go over this really condensed information, I want you to think about the churches that you were raised in, or have attended, or are currently attended. And while we're talking about both the cult part and the religion part, and just see if you see any, parallels, or if you're like, no, thank God, I'm not going to a cult. I'm not in a cult. I'm not in a culty situation. And we all know that culty situations can be in jobs and stuff too, and we'll be covering that as well. Because again, I want to talk to some of my people, some of my friends, and kind of figure out, um, different situations that you've been in. I've been in a few too that are very culty when you think back on it. I didn't know it at the time, but I certainly do now. Anyway, so I make no secret of the fact that I'm Christian, but I also don't really hide the fact that I'm very disenfranchised, disillusioned, whatever, with religion, with actual churches. I've found it really hard to find one that in this particular climate that we're in, especially, and I don't want to go into that big time, but in the political climate that we're in, I'm also a Democrat, y'all, and we know that too. Kind of, not on the severe side of it, but I have voted both ways. I vote for the person or the situation, the topic, whatever. I don't just vote straight party. But and my husband Mark is a Republican, and he's the same way. So uh, we get along great. But anyway, in this political climate, so many of the churches where I live are very, very pro Trump, and I'm not. And so that in itself has led me to really have a hard time going to a church, because they are very careful how they word things at the pulpit. But the rest of the time, they're pretty clear on what you need to be doing, to be a Christian. And I don't like it when any religion, and I don't care which party it would be, if it was the Democrats saying, you got to vote Democrat or you're not a Christian, I'd be pissed. So it's not that. It's not that it's this one or that one. I don't agree with it. I think politics and religion need to be separated. Anyway, I went off on kind of a tangent. But anyway, there are amazing, awesome people of faith out there, and amazing, awesome churches of all denominations. And I'm not down on religion. I'm just, where I live at this particular time and place in my life, and in the climate that we're in, I'm having a hard time finding one that's, something that I don't know, something that I can agree with and don't feel judged. And, there also are churches out there that chase away more people than they bring in, just by their some of their stuff they pull. I know religion is a sticky topic, just like politics, but I think that we're, good here. I think that we've got a good group that we can talk to, and respect each other. And I really am doing this not to talk so much about religion, but to talk about the difference in religion and cults. So hopefully I don't regret it. But y'all, this is But First Coffee, Susie Oberholtz, and we meet here several times a week to learn about the ex-Scientology movement, but also lots of other topics, sometimes silly, other times deep. We do deep dives sometimes. And I've been known to shed a few tears or to get a little salty. So grab a cup of coffee or whatever you prefer, and let's discuss cults and religion. Okay, what is a cult? Everything that I found when I went and would look up the definition of a cult, it was defined as a group of people with extreme dedication to a certain leader or a set of beliefs that are often seen by others as odd. So, I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, we all think Scientology's a little odd. And if you look back on some of the other cults, which we're going to discuss in detail, not today, but I've got some coming up that are, oh, y'all. But anyway, they do seem to be dedicated to a certain leader. And what really gets me is so often that leader sees himself as the Messiah. So, or, says they do. And what get is they'll be male or female. There's lots of female ones too that we don't hear a lot about, but there are several female cult leaders out there. So anyway, what gets me, I'm always amazed. There'll be several cults that are operating pretty close together, in the same state or the same region or whatever, with different leaders, and they'll all think that they're the Messiah. And I'm just like, this is crazy that, it's like they want it both ways. They want, not all of them, because Scientology is different, but, they want to take the Bible and twist it to benefit them. So anyway, it's just weird. General characteristics of modern cults, okay? Because there's a lot of differences between what old school cults did versus what the ones now do, the newer ones. Number one, they rush you into joining and discourage or disallow questions. So that kind of sounds like Scientology, doesn't it? I mean, if you question anything, you're in trouble, and they do rush you into it. I mean, they won't even tell you what Scientology is. They want you to buy a book, right? Take a course, all that kind of thing. Number two, followers are encouraged to worship a specific group leader. That happens a lot. Look at the different cults that we've seen in recent years, including Scientology, but others. There's other cults out there. We're going to briefly go over a few of them in a minute. But it is kind of strange for them to, focus on one leader. But then what's really crazy is that, like for instance, in Scientology, which, usually in a lot of cults, when the leader dies, then somebody else just takes over. And, I'm just like, okay. And then they're the Messiah. And so, it's just crazy. But in Scientology, they really stick to this number two, where they're encouraged to worship a specific group leader, because they don't worship Miscavige. They still worship, well, they don't think they do, but they do. L. Ron Hubbard, they still go by everything he said in the 50s. So this one very, very much also fits into Scientology. Number three, leaders dictate in great detail I can't talk today. I don't know what's wrong with me. All aspects of followers' lives. Boy, that one really hits home with a lot of cults, but especially Scientology. I mean, goodness. I mean, look at the Sea Org. They they can't fart without permission, right? I mean, it's crazy. Or if they do, they're going to be out ethics or something and be in trouble for it. And who knows? Which I don't know. But that one fits Scientology too. Number 4. This one really. Followers are monitored to ensure they follow the guidelines. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Like how in Scientology, how they like cattle on each other and everything. I mean, there's a lot that goes on that's meant to keep them in line. Number 5, methods of control are used to keep members close. Again, that fits Scientology with their disconnection. That alone keeps members close. It keeps members afraid to speak out or to leave or just whatever. It it really keeps them in line, right? Now, I've got 4 examples of cults. And these are more modern, the last little bit, not years and years and years and years ago, okay? So number 1 is Jonestown. Due to legal and social pressure, the group's leader, Jim Jones, moved the group out of the U.S., where they eventually committed mass unaliving. They're known as, that's where the whole drink the Kool-Aid thing came from. But the thing is it wasn't just Kool-Aid. Some of them had, pew-pews and used those on themselves, and others had them used on them as they were running away, trying to get away from it. So it just is horrible, just absolutely horrible. Number 2, the Branch Davidians. They started as an offshoot of the Seventh-day Adventist and ended in a government raid and deadly fire that unalived David Koresh, the leader. Again, many were unalived prior to the fire, either by themselves or by other members. And this was outside of Waco, Texas. So that's the one that my friend was in, but he got out in time. His parents got him out in time. Number 3, Heaven's Gate, known as the Doomsday Cult, and they committed mass unaliving, which they believed would gain them access to an alien spacecraft. And number 4, the Church of Scientology. And this is how this is actually described, y'all. A group of interconnected corporate entities and organizations devoted to the practice, administration, and desensitization, whatever, of a religion created by science fiction author L. Ron Hubbard. I mean, does that sound like a church? It's pretty telling. Okay, now, what is religion? Religion is defined as a set of beliefs about God or a supreme supernatural, yeah, a supreme supernatural creator. So it's not worshiping one man or one woman that's here on earth, that's a human. It's worshiping, a supreme supernatural creator, somebody that we don't see. It's faith-based. We don't see them. It's all faith-based, which I admit can sound completely crazy. And like the reason that I believe it is I do is because I've been taught that since the day I was born, which is what happens with cults. which is what happens with all the second and third gens in Scientology, right? So that is very, culty to me. And I can understand where people, are just as afraid of modern day, religion as they are cults, because there are things that seem a lot alike. Number two, a shared sincere belief of the system. We share a belief based on faith of the Bible. And although a lot of us believe that, some of them are kind of parables, or that, I mean, there's going to be mistakes because they were written by man. God didn't sit down and write the Bible. And so, but we have faith in it. We have faith in the overallness of it. But so do cult members, right? Number three, the main beliefs are consistent with mainstream standards of dignity. That is true. Um, churches, they want you to, remain pure until you get married, and they want you to not dress too revealing and all that kind of thing. And, you know, there's a lot of it. They want you to act a certain way. You're not supposed to go out and be getting drunk all the time and doing drugs all the time, or, having a crazy, foul language rant or something, which, I'm kind of bad about. I'm going to have a lot to answer for y'all. I'm going to be standing up there saying, well, the reason I did this was this, but I'm still a good person, I promise, please let me in, open, open, open. Number 4, appropriate forms of conduct between people are defined. That's true. A lot of that goes within the 10 commandments, which I think could be condensed to one, which would basically be just don't be an asshole. If you think about all the rest of them, don't be an asshole. Don't be a dick. Don't be a whatever, treat others as you would, want to be treated, that kind of thing. But I think they could limit it down. But again, very culty. All 4 of those so far have been, they could be considered culty also. Not bad, not even bad things, but it's just funny to me, the comparison. Number 5, an understanding of evil and its effect on humans is established. We learn from an early age about the devil and, and sin, where, sin and all that is drilled into us from, as soon as we can start going to Sunday school. And, I believe that one can be a little culty too. Not necessarily how we're taught, because I'm taught that, right? So, but also in a cult situation, how they tell everybody that, like, all of us on the outside are evil. That's clearly establishing the effects, right? We're all evil. They're going to get cancer if they look at us, much less talk to us. They're, they're going to live on the streets and flip burgers. And what I keep thinking is, nobody, some are, but the mass majority of people are not living on the streets and flipping burgers. So I don't know exactly how they make them believe that, because look at all the people that are doing great, right? Okay, and number 6, there are sacred ritual acts. That one could be very, very culty. Not necessarily are all religious, acts culty, but definitely it could be, just that definition itself could be used to be culty. I've got cat hair on my lip or something. Think of, like, in my religion, there's baptism. Going to the altar and asking forgiveness and praying at the altar and all that. Um, Gosh, there's other things, and in the Catholic religion, there's things that you do, and in all religions, there's things that you do that are like ritualistic, that are done every time and everything. And so, that's again could be culty. As of 2017, I couldn't find a newer number on that, but that's not that far off. The Department of Defense, which got me, is the Department of Defense, y'all, recognizes over 220 religions. The fact that the Department of Defense is recognizing religions, a great deal of which are cults that claim to be religions, and that there's 220 of them, and I think that's just in the US. Anyway, traditional organized religions include Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, and Judaism. And then Christianity includes like Catholic and all that sort of thing. Okay, the main differences in cults and religions. Longevity. Experts argue that the main difference is that religion has lasted many generations, like many, many generations. Like more than 100 years, even longer. Cults, on the other hand, don't last as long because they self-destruct or engage in unhealthy practices that limit membership over time. That's what I'm hoping with Scientology, is I'm hoping that they kind of self-destruct with a little help from all of us in the SVTV community. So, but that is the main difference. Is just that, I mean, honestly, think about that. What the Department of Defense sees as the main difference is time. Whether you've been active, for 100 years or more, or you're, younger than that. And a lot of like religions that pop up are considered culty until they have lasted a while. So anyway, that's crazy. A cult is a social movement. In the early 1900s, the term cult was pulled from sociological context and described as a group of beliefs that were socially deviant. Well, I think that the actions of Scientology are definitely deviant. And today's cults don't always deal with religious beliefs, but religions always deal with religious beliefs. To me, that would be a bigger difference in a cult and a religion than the time thing. Because the fact that cults don't always deal with religious beliefs, but try to fall under the the whatever, the cover really of religion, like this church of Scientology is certainly, now as a church, but they don't deal in religion. They don't pray, they don't do all those things. But religions always revolve around religions. Now you can have strictly religious cults where, like for instance, the one that Marilyn Honig was in. That is a religious cult. And so it just gets more, there's all these little sublines that you can, well, this is this kind of cult, and this is this kind of, it's crazy. I mean, there's sex cults, there's religious cults, there's scientific cults, there's, all kinds of cults. Government recognition. Religions are recognized and accepted by the government, but cults are not. And we all know that's not true. There is no single definition of a religion. That's how they get by it, is that they say there's no single definition of a religion. And we all know that Scientology likes to, have all these front groups that make it look like that they're working to help people. And that even if it's not like a we worship God situation, just the ministering to people and helping people and all that can make them look very much like a cult or like a religion. I'm sorry. When in fact, they are a cult. That's what I just want so bad is I want the government to recognize them as a cult and take away their tax exempt number, because I think that that would be huge in getting rid of them. If they can't afford all these big fancy buildings to try to make everybody think that they're huge, people are going to be disillusioned with them. And I think if you get disillusioned that they're going to, leave or not join. Public opinion. Thanks to the media and a few extreme groups, the mainstream view of cults is negative. The extreme groups would be, like the ones Jonestown, Branch Davidian, and even Scientology. Some of these that are like religious cults, like the one that Marilyn was in, they're not seen so much as a cult because they really hide behind the religion thing. They really hide behind it. Cults are viewed as traps and maintained by mind control. Religion is seen as more dignified, structured, and acceptable. Again, that's how a lot of cults get by, is they become, religious cults. And so then they they hide behind that religion. They hide behind the whole deal as being seen as more dignified and structured and acceptable. And a cult can be a temporary term. Controversial religions that stand the test of time may not be considered cults anymore. We have a couple of, absolutely non-denomination new churches that have sprung up around here over the last few years. Some started with just a family that started having prayer meetings in their house, and then it got bigger and bigger, and then they suddenly became these, pastors of the church. And these are people that I care about. But it got real culty seeming to me, and it's a huge church now, but people have quit talking about that. It's kind of, odd, and now it's just a church. And I'll tell you when that happened is when they built a big building that looks like a church. And, they actually, I think, hired an actual preacher and stuff. It's not the family that started, it's not involved anymore. And there's more than one. There's about 4 around here, real close to me, I'm just waiting to see if we start hearing anything crazy about them. And maybe not. They might be wonderful. I know wonderful people that go to them, but the whole test of time thing, I'm kind of I worry about some of these upstarts that come in, and yet at the same time, some of these upstarts are more welcoming of people that I want to be welcomed. I want my, LGBTQ community to be welcome. I want it to not be like racist. I want it to not be based on politics. And a lot of these newer churches that have sprung up are more open to all that stuff. And so that makes me, it's hard, right? It's like some of these cults have kind of messed it up. These other churches, they might be absolutely wonderful places to go, and yet I'm afraid of them. And I don't go because I don't know. I know I'm one that whenever I, as an adult, started going back to the church that I used to go to, that I worked at, I got sucked in real hard, y'all. And I mean, Mark and I taught Sunday school, and I was on every committee, and I worked for the church. And I mean, if those doors were open, it was a lot of times because I unlocked them. And so, I was there all the time, and I don't want to get sucked in like that to something that's not legit. And, I have reasons why I can't go back, why I won't go back. I could. They haven't like excommunicated me or anything, but I have reasons why I won't go back where I was. And they may be silly, but I can't make myself do it. I do go back for funerals and stuff, but I just can't make myself do it. Anyway, shared belief system. Cults and religions share belief systems, But think about the things mentioned to see if you think your church is a cult or an actual religion or a mixture of both, because that does happen. And so that's what I've got for today. I'm going to go see what my chat has to say, but I really want you to think about it. And don't forget that tomorrow, Sister Bougie's going to be on with her, dot, 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 and I blame it on Aaron series. So she's wanting you to find things in this world that dogs. This is real life, y'all. This is my dining room. My living room's right over there, and the dogs, they bark. But anyway, she wants you to find things in the world that you blame on Aaron, because Stephanie Hutchinson blames everything on Aaron. So I mean, it could be something as I tripped over my shoelace and fell down today, and I blame it on Aaron, or you know whatever. The moon is not a full moon tonight, and I wanted a romantic night, and I blame it on Aaron. Whatever. I want to see those, though. Sister Bougie's going to have a few of her own, but she wants to see yours. So she'll be on sometime tomorrow. And then Mark and I are planning to be on tomorrow with one of our, the remember when kind of deals that we like to do. So we're planning on 2 different shows for tomorrow. Neither one will be real long, maybe. So anyway, now I'm going to go to my chat and see what y'all got to say on this beautiful day. Mischief Managed is here. Good afternoon, evening to all you coffee cultists. Cricket Cinema's here. Good to see you. Denise Hansen is a member. Thank you for being a member, and thank you for stopping in. Gary Mackey, hey, howdy y'all. I hadn't seen you in a while. I saw you, was it yesterday? And I was like, where have you been? Or I saw you somewhere, I think it was yesterday. And I was like, I haven't seen you in a long time. DJ Nico, sorry, I need a drink. I'm still drinking on my tea from my Mexican restaurant that we went to lunch today. So they like to fill it up in these little cups before you leave. They fill them back up. So it's good to see you, DJ Nico. Cubana Chica is a member. Hola, everyone. Hola to you, too. Good to see you. I think I already said hello to Denise, but yeah, welcome again. Rabbit Flea is here. Good to see you. KS Eskigal, good evening all. Good evening to you too. And she's also a member, or he. I think it's actually a he, isn't it? Even though it says gal. Somebody told me it was a he. I don't know. Anyway, whoever, good evening. Constance June is a member. Hi all. Good to see you. Brandy Scott's a member. Good evening from Georgia. I'm wanting to go to Georgia so bad. Mark and I keep talking about going to Savannah, and it's just driving me nuts. We're just trying to save the money. We got it. We can, our flights, I think we've got figured out, and the hotel we've got figured out, but you got to eat. And, we usually Uber or something, but instead of renting a car, because the parking at the hotel we stay at is $45 a night, which is more than your car before it's over with. So crazy. So yeah, Brandy Scott, hello. Janelle H, hello. Tammy M in the house from Arizona. Hail Gear, Teal Swan, hello. Yeah, Scientology is an anomaly. I can say the word. Anomaly. I'm tongue twisted today. Yeah, I think it's my chemo. My eye, can you tell how swollen my eyes are? Look at that. I don't even look normal. It's crazy. And I wake up, they're almost swollen shut, and it's a mess. And by the evening, and I didn't even go to the pool today because, sometimes the sun makes it worse. I didn't even go out today. I was just like, I can't do it. Oops. Yeah. Sorry about that. I got lost for a second. Cinderella's waving that pink hand. Oh, thank you, Gary. Gifted 5 but first coffee memberships. Thank you so much. And you all that got them, make sure you thank Gary for those. That's so sweet. Thank you. They're so appreciated. Yeah. Trying to make sure I don't miss anybody. Cricket Cinema says there's always about the 12-step process I could see as cult like, or there are things about the 12 step. Yes, absolutely, that I could see as cult like. And ultimately, however, I don't feel harmed by it. Well, that's good. I mean, absolutely. Yes. Janelle, Jim Jones, Mooney's. Oh, I always have a hard time. Ranishi's. That one's pretty scary. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on that one. David Koresh, that one always just hits me in the gut. I mean, I think it's because I have a personal connection to it. And, yeah. And yeah, Mischief didn't know that some were trying to run away. Absolutely. Yeah, they were. And they were shot. Yeah. Janelle, I see that too. Cricket Cinema says, I remember that Jim Jones event like it was yesterday. Absolutely horrific. At the time, it was difficult to conceive how it was possible. I know. Me too. I mean, I was pretty young, but I was just like, what? I had absolutely no conception of how that could work. And now I absolutely live in fear of how that could work. In religions, you were told what to believe and then told that you should have faith in that belief. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's can be kind of culty, and that, like I said, I believe it. And I realize that some of it is, I mean, my daughter and I talk about it, we're like, it's kind of a little crazy sounding sometimes, some of the different things, but we believe it because we were born into it. But that's what Scientologists and other cult members that are born into it, that's why they believe it too. And to them, it's really no more crazy than what I believe. So, and we are told that we're just supposed to believe it by faith, you know. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Janelle H. But a church allows parishioners to find their way to the good. It doesn't punish and require it, allows for free will. Absolutely. Absolutely. Even God in the Bible, God supposedly said, that we have free will and that he won't do things like the, Noah's Ark thing, the whole flood and everything. He's not going to do that again because, we have free will and it's up to us to come to him, not be forced to. And there lies the difference in a lot of it. But it's still scary sometimes. Some of these new ones just scare me. I don't know. Oh, Gary is very generous. Joel McCoy, glad to see you. Hello, folks. Hope your day is going well. Hope yours is going well. How's the foot healing? That would be a hard one, right? Because, I mean, are you able to walk at all yet? Are you, having to use like one of those wheelie things that you put your knee on and push around, or crutches or something? I think about you all the time. Gary Mackey gifted another but first coffee membership. Thank you so much. He said he's determined for everybody to be green. Oh, wow. Mischief Managed. My mother taught some of David Koresh's children in kindergarten before they went to Texas. Oh, I bet that was rough for her. I mean, after, when everything happened. Mm. My cat's chewing on something. I'm like, what is that noise? Yeah. Rabbit Flea. The problem with most organized religion is that they think they are the only path to whatever creator they follow. Absolutely. And that's another thing that I have a problem with, and why I've kind of walked away from church. I have not walked away from God, but I've walked away from the church, is that every denomination thinks that they're right, and they think that they're the only one that's right. But how can that be? You know, so I don't think that I don't know. I mean, if it's one that's saying this is the way, then I'll be like, no, you're crazy. Go away. But when they're all saying this is the right way, this is the right way, this is the right way, then it just, so now what I do is I do read my Bible, and I do, listen to different things, but I listen to things that I want to listen to and that I trust. And mostly I just read my Bible, and I have my Bible and my study Bible where I, flip back and forth, and if I don't understand something. And so I'm just determined that I'm not going to follow any one pastor. There are people in the church that I was at that would follow the pastor that's there now. And I like him. I'm not saying I don't. But they would follow him straight to hell if that's where he led. And that feels culty. I don't like it. I just can't do it. So Kimberly Gabaldon. Hi, Susie and everyone. Good to see you. Kimberly's also a member. We got lots of members in here tonight. Tammy M says, in my opinion, there's a difference between religious and spirituality, or religion and spirituality. Each religion has their own little quirks that you must follow. Spirituality is for me and about my free will. Absolutely. I think that I'm more spiritual now. My grandmother has been gone since, oh boy, 92, something like that. And her and my grandpa were amazing Christian people. They just were. And for the last probably 20 years of their lives, they didn't attend a church. They were very religious still, or very spiritual. They read their Bibles. They studied things. They prayed. I mean, I don't think they sinned ever. I mean, I would be surprised. They were just amazing, amazing, amazing people. And that's what, I think that that makes a good quote unquote Christian, and not a cult leader or follower. And don't kid yourself. They got hooked up with some of those televangelists before they quit going to church. And that's what kind of made them lose faith in actual churches, was some of those big name televangelists with the send me money, send me money, send me money. And they were like, after a while, they're like, no, that's culty AF to me. All those, the big, huge churches, or the televangelists that are on there. Joe McCoy says, for me, I have a personal faith, but I do not have any use for church. It is a business. Follow the money. When it's about money, it's not faith. This is just my opinion, and only that. I agree with you. That very much states where I'm at right now. And I think that if you look at cults, a lot of it is about money. And, everybody might be living in squalor, but the leader will be living the high life, and the leader can do all kinds of stuff that everybody else can't. Joel is right. So right, they're saying. I think there are several state recognized and sanctioned religions in the U.S. that are cults. Jehovah's Witness and LDS both meet Steve Hassan's bite model definition. Absolutely. Absolutely. But they've stood the test of time. See, so in the beginning, they might have been considered kind of culty, but they've stood the test of time. And so that's where they, it's how they get by. Yeah, the more money that a religion has, the more they can get away with. Yeah, a house church with a charismatic leader. Lost a good friend to one of those. Yeah. What got me was this is a family that I was extremely close to. In fact, I was engaged to one of the sons, one of the pastors at one years ago, and we remained. He died a few years ago, and we remained very close to the very end. We never were not friends. We just broke up, but uh, it just it creeped me out. I just couldn't do it. And when they started in with all they could heal and everything, they laying hands on you and they could heal, and that's what the church that grew out of that still does that. I went with a friend. She was picking up some, how a lot of those churches will do the free groceries and stuff. So I rode over with a friend, and she was getting groceries, and they actually gave them to me too because I was in the car and I was like, okay, I don't really need them, but thank you. And anyway, so one of the some sort of pastor from the church um, came up to the vehicle and was asking us, "Is there anything that we can pray for you about?" And I was in the throes of, I was bald. I was in the throes of all this cancer stuff and everything. And I said, "Well, I have breast cancer." And so he held my hand and prayed, and I was like, "This is really sweet." But the longer the prayer went on, pretty soon he was saying that, you know, that I was healed. And when it was over, he said, "Do you feel any different?" And I thought, I don't feel any different having breast cancer than I did before I had it. I mean, what do we mean? Do I feel it? And that's what I told him. I said, "I don't know what you think I'm going to feel. I feel the same way as I did before I had cancer." But, he thought I would feel a certain way. And he goes, "Well, you let me know. The next time you have those scans, you let me know." He says, "Because you're going to be healed. There's not going to be a bit of cancer left in you." And I'm like, okay, kind of went on. Well, I had the scans coming up in just a few weeks and had them cancer everywhere, not everywhere, but all in the side of my chest, worse than it was before. So, I was like, and I've never seen him and I won't go there. So, cause I was like, man, I ought to tell him, I think you gave me cancer. Fiona Gabble. I cannot say your last name. My tongue is tied today. Hey, and sorry she has to leave, but get to say hello to you in chat. Thanks. Thank you very much. Glad you got to come in. You can always catch it on the replay, catch the rest of it. Part of the religions being nonprofit tax exempts, or they are supposed to get involved. They aren't supposed to get involved with politics, tell you how to vote. Apparently, the government turns the other cheek at times. Yeah, a lot of the time. And they're sneaky about it. They are. They don't say vote for, John Doe. They're just like, how you need to vote. If you want this and that and this and that, if you want this and whatever, the conservative deal. And there are some that preach nothing but Democrat stuff too. I'm not saying they're not. There are some that do. But I'm just saying that the one that I personally went to, I mean, it was sad. At one point, the pastor that used to be there that I worked under was at the pulpit. And I mean, I guess, I don't know, at least he wasn't being biased or whatever, but, he was preaching against unaliving yourself and divorce and telling about how horrible they were. And I was sitting in the church. I always sat at the back because if the phone rang, I would run get it. And you'd be shocked how many times it rings during a service. And anything that happened, I always just ran out of there. So I had to sit at the back. But anyway, I'm looking around as he's preaching this, and probably a good 2/3 or more of the church were divorced, and remarried. And he was talking about it as if it was going to send us straight to hell. And he was talking about unaliving themselves, and his very wife had family members that had done it. And I don't know how she sat through it. Because again, it was they're going to hell, you know. And he also, at the Sunday before Christmas, big, you know, they always have a big deal right before Christmas, a meal, the whole bit, you know. He also, in the middle of his sermon, where all the kids and everybody were present, said that there's no such thing as the fat man in a red suit. You know, that, and I think that that is up to parents, how they handle the whole Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, whatever. I think that's up to parents, not the preacher, to announce in Sunday service. So, oh, now what? Good to see you. She's also a member. In the Catholic religion I grew up in, we never did Bible study. The church told us which passages we needed, and we had the catechism to study. Yeah. Yeah. I know it there's some like that here too. Not just Catholic. There's some that too that you're basically told what it says and not encouraged to read it yourself or study it yourself. You're just kind of told. Rabbit Flea, I get confused on how a church can be non-denominational. Isn't it still following a certain base of beliefs preached by its preacher or preachers? Yeah, it's just that so many of them have different ideas of what is right and what's wrong. Like some denominations absolutely preach um, like speaking in tongues and that sort of thing. And in other religions, it's like almost satanic to do that kind of thing. And, you know, some religions, denominations preach only the Old Testament, and some preach only the New Testament, and some preach all of it. And some preach none of it. Some have their own Bible. And so a non denomination is basically that they're not hooked into, like, I know that like the Baptists, because that's what I grew up with, Southern Baptist, and we had the Baptist General Convention, but a lot of the others have those too. And you get in there, but you have to pay dues to that and everything too. And so a lot of these non-denomination ones are not paying dues to any group, you know, like any convention, they call it, you know, like the Baptist General Convention. They don't pay to these groups. So they're not considered that. Like if you don't, you know, if you don't pay to those groups, you're not a Baptist, you're not a true Baptist church, you're not a true Lutheran church, or not a true Methodist church, or Catholic, or whatever. You know, there's like entry fees. I mean, I used to write the checks for our little church. I mean, you know, to the Baptist General Convention, and a lot of what they gather in that plate that you fill up on Saturday morning or Sunday mornings. I said Saturday, but a lot of that money goes to a big, you know, entity over here that honestly I never really could figure out what they do. It's it's just like it legitimizes it. I really couldn't really figure out. Yay for Sister B. Yeah, Sister Bougie, she's something. Yeah. Blame Aaron list. I was told there would be no homework. Well, this is not really homework, but you could blame that on Aaron. You could say, I was told there would be no homework, and I blame it on Aaron. Yes, exactly, Janelle. If high demands are made of you, of your time, your money, your participation, those are warnings you might be at risk. Absolutely. Sister Bougie should be a fun time. Absolutely. Yeah, Nico, you're right. Well, my personal reflection is I prefer no middlemen. And it's almost 99% men telling how and why. It too often aligns with their own agendas, and whatever you oppose, you're evil or bad. Absolutely. Absolutely. I grew up in the Lutheran church and they demanded a lot of casseroles and hot dishes. So did the Baptist church. I was kind of famous for my mashed potatoes and my boiled cabbage because I put ham in my boiled cabbage and a little tiny bit of cinnamon. And it wasn't enough to make it taste like cinnamon, but there was something they couldn't figure out what it was. And so they all loved it. And my potatoes, it's nothing other than the fact that I use when I'm not caring about calories. And at home, I don't do it so much, but I use real butter and cream instead of, like margarine and milk or whatever. I use real butter and cream. So they were like so creamy and flavorful, and just a teeny tiny bit of, tiny amount of onion and garlic powder. Tiny bit. Like you don't get a taste of onion or garlic. There's just something there. I am female and married to a female. Yeah. And a lot of churches would think I thought that's where I got it from. I wasn't sure. I don't know what it was, but yeah, I thought you were female, but then I thought somebody said something. I don't know. I don't even know what I thought. It was probably somebody completely different. Marilee says, made it to alive a bit late. Thanks for being a member, Marilee. Yeah, you're all pretty much members. Just about everybody here today is either a member or a mod. Yeah, thank you, Gary Mackey, right? Uh, Marilee, what's your excuse for being tardy? Yeah. Oh, wow. Pup groomer, thank you. You're so sweet. Gifted 5 but first coffee memberships. That's so sweet, you guys. Hey, Carrie Ann, good to see you. Hugs to you too. Oh my goodness, Marilyn gifted 5 but first coffee memberships. You guys are gonna make me cry. Everybody gets them. You get a membership, and you get a membership. uh, the sun looks great on you. I'm trying to not look pale. So I'm trying to make my doctor think that I don't look sick. So I've been trying to get some sun. And I'm one of those people. I'm half Belgium, and I'm of the darker side of the Belgium. Some of them are more fair than others. My dad was very dark. My biological father. He would, and in the summer, he was in San Antonio, so he was always tan. But in the summer, he would get very dark, and I do too. And that's why everybody believed all those years that I was half black. Was that I grew up in California where it was sunny all the time. So I had a tan all the time. And so I literally would be as dark as a lot of my Hispanic or African American friends. So that's why they didn't mess with me because, I supposedly had that dad that was getting out of prison and was going to kick all their parents' butts if they picked on me. It's a mess, y'all. Uh, Nico says you should listen to George Carlin analyze the 10 Commandments or Richard Dawkins. I can imagine. I bet Reese has listened to it. Yeah, absolutely. Non-denominations don't require that everyone adopts specific beliefs in terms of details. Yeah. And they're also more open to a lot of the LGBTQ community and non-binary and all that. The Methodist Church, because I am now Methodist, not Catholic anymore, I'm now Methodist. The Methodist Church that we do attend some actually has a female preacher, whatever they call them, pastor, and she has a gay daughter, a lesbian daughter, and everybody's fine. Just going down through here. Yeah, that made me think the devil went down to Texas. How about if the devil went down to Georgia? Aw. Jim's Journey, good to see you. I emailed you, not sure if you got it. I will look. I was checking email earlier and I didn't see it, but I'm going to check my spam just to make sure. Or I honestly was just so tired when I was checking it. I probably just could have missed it, but I will check it for sure. Yeah. Marilee says, my mom joined a loony cult when I was about 2. They moved locations and mom had no way of getting there and was told all her kids would die. I was 5 and they became a nasty child SA cult. Oh, gosh. That's horrible. That is absolutely horrible. You should come on and we can talk about it because I want to talk to all of any of my subscribers and chat and members and all of y'all that have stories. I would love to sit down and talk to you about it. And honestly, I keep telling people you can say as little or as much as you want. I'm not one of those people that's like going to dig and try to make you cry or anything. I didn't do that whenever I was, doing the newspaper. I if I told somebody something was confidential, it was. If I said I would hold a story, I did. And I didn't ask questions that would make them uncomfortable. They could tell me what they wanted to tell me, except for some of the city government. They didn't want to tell me anything, and I really hammered their butts. Joel McCoy says, I can't walk yet, have to use crutches. Will for a while. Oh, my nose. I have got that cat hair somewhere. She's always right here before I start. She's like wallering all over me and everything, and then she sits here beside me till I get going, and then she leaves. Anyway, it will be weeks yet. When you lose bone and flesh and nerves, it takes a while. Absolutely, absolutely. That's why I was wondering, how that was going and how long it would be. Tammy says quantum physics has shown that we are all connected with one another. Therefore, in my opinion, we are also connected to, lack of a better word, God, religions, including and teach worship an outside God, not within. Yeah. Jim's Journey. I'm a lifelong Christian, and what you're doing is not wrong. It's about the relationship with Christ. Remember his words. Can't remember chapter and verse. He said, "Depart from me." Yeah, that's what I am. I'm just really into more my relationship with God, not my relationship with the church and with the preacher, because the preacher's just a man or a woman. If you enjoy Susie's content and like hanging out here, don't forget to give the give a big hey y'all to the like and subscribe buttons. Yeah, not to knock anyone's religion, but there are at a minimum 3,000 gods named in one way or another. And when even the big religions start to infight about how they believe best, I kind of get, yeah, weary. Me too. I haven't really kept up with that, Gary. That's a whole thing. Yeah, I need to look into that. I really don't have an opinion on it because I really don't know exactly, but I will look into it. I have been doing an awful lot of either sleeping in the bed or sleeping on a floaty in the pool, and not a whole lot of anything else. And last night I started watching, I had gotten way behind on Heartland, the show on Netflix. That's like my favorite show. I love it. That and Call the Midwife. Those are my two that I love. Yeah. Mandy McGee's in here. Hey, good to see you. You got unbaptized today? Yeah, it does. It sounds like his like Joel's foot went through a meat grinder, doesn't it? Oh gosh. He can answer you, but he had an accident years ago and it just hasn't done right since. So, but he can give you more details. No meat grinder that I'm aware of. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I never knew you goes with the post above about what Jesus said. Yeah, I should have said that. I knew that. I started to finish it and got sidetracked. I knew what you meant and I knew what it said. Oh wow. Esky Gal says my little sister is special needs. She summarized going to church as eat, drink, pray, or I'm sorry, eat, drink, and pay. Yeah. From doing communion and offering plates. Yeah. I want to know how you get unbaptized. I don't want to get unbaptized, but I'm curious how you get unbaptized. It is interesting. We need to have another chat. Fiona is my late slip accepted. We're still discussing it. Exactly. Oh, now while we had Sunday exercises, stand up, sit down, kneel, stand up. I know. I'd be like, "Are you freaking kidding me? I gotta stand up again." I mean, I would just get comfortable and be like, "Stand to sing this song, or stand in prayer, or whatever," and I'm just like, "Ugh." It can get a little much. Yeah, they do have special shoes for people that lose part of their foot, especially for diabetics. Yeah. I'm going to jump on the class action lawsuit against the Southern Baptist Convention. It was the Southern Baptist Convention that ran the adoption center that Mark and I were trying to adopt from when they told me that I could not adopt, even though we owned our own house, we owned our own cars, no loans of any kind, and they were new, and we were huge in the church. You know, everything looked good. We have several letters of recommendation from several of the elders of the church and the pastor of the church and other people in the community and other churches, and we had like I overkilled it, but I could not adopt because they said I was overweight. At the time, I weighed less than 200 pounds. I wore a size 14, 16. But we had to report our height, weight, and all that. And they said that I was overweight and that they didn't adopt out to people that were obese. Yeah, Mormons even expect children to pay 15% of their allowance. I've heard that. Yeah, I heard it was 10%, but it might have went up. Inflation. Oh, wow. Oh, now Watt says in my senior religion class, the priest told a bunch of high school girls that a woman was always to blame for divorce. Yeah, let the disillusion begin. Absolutely. I was not at blame for mine. Guarantee that. Miss Sunrise Dawn is here. Good to see you. Mischief Man says, I got my t-shirt. Have you? Don't forget to check Susie's merch store. I have some cute t-shirts and stuff on there. I'm going to get more. And hats and coffee cups and I don't know what all. I've just got to sit down and do it. I've got them designed. I just have to do it. And it is harder than it looks. Just going down through here. Yeah. Oh, boy. Jennifer, I don't know if I said hi to you yet. My mama started with We Are the Church of God. We aren't the ones that dance with snakes. When you're one step away from being them, you know you're in trouble. One step away from being the ones that dance with snakes, that's scary. I mean, there's some wackadoodles of all religions, y'all. That's what I say is that, sometimes it's not even an entire, Venus Blue, good to see you. I sent my message 3 days ago. Nothing back. I feel alone. I'm sorry. I will check. I really have been checking my email and I don't know that I saw something. If I don't answer you tonight, resend it, please, because I'm really, really, I thought that I had caught up, except for what I've got today. Lady Jane out. Good to see you. Good evening to you. Jim's journey, short and sweet. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, speaking of tongues, people running, falling out. I seen a lady run across the top of a pew. I have so much damage. I keep a therapist paid for years or for life. You should come on and talk about it. Seriously, get with me. I love talking to everybody. I want to have a whole deal where I have even a couple days a week where I talk to, my chat and my friends here. I want to talk to you all. Jim's journey, same with you. See, that sounds very interesting to me. And it doesn't always have to be bad stuff. If you had good stuff, I want to hear that too. Gary Mackey, Poe on the go. Well, if the goal of trolls was to destroy a viable means, successful fundraising, they were a success. W2F. Hopefully John will change his mind. When you can cover. Yeah, I need to check into that. I don't know what I know there was definitely some trolls. Oh, okay. You messaged Mandy. Okay. I was like, I thought I caught up with everybody. So I'm glad. Yeah. Aw, Lady Jane out. Hey, Susie, I just wanted to let you know my new favorite saying is every voice raises the volume. With that, I'm going to be starting a channel for my community. How cool. I have some merch that says that on there too. So you might look at that. Oh, really? Fiona, I can remember having an hour and a half convo with just when they asked me if Jesus returned to earth, which church would he choose? My church or my reply was none. Yeah. Irrelevant Panda, good to see you. Just catching up from the beginning. I hope you come back and see us. We have a good time here usually. I'm kind of tired today, as you can probably tell. I'm running out of energy fast. Yeah, I think a lot of us in the SPTV community are 50 plus. Absolutely. I'm 58. And I know a lot of them that are either just a little bit younger than me or a little bit older than me. Yeah, Mischief Managed Gary. I wasn't aware until the stream last night. I'm pissed off though. I'll have to go back and watch it. Um, I'm very interested. I haven't watched Poe in a couple of days, um, but I will. And anyway, Kimberly just turned 66, turned 51 in April. Lady Jane out. See, we're all these. Wow, I'm 72, Marilee. That's amazing. See, we're just all here, women and men of a certain age. Yeah. Well, guys, I'm going to go. I am really running out of steam. It's been a long day. We went shopping and went to eat, and that's more than I usually do in an entire week. So, oh, now what's 76? I would not have guessed that. I would not have guessed that. I have seen you, and that blows my mind. 76 is not old. I mean, and I don't think that it's just because I'm getting older that I think that all these ages are younger. I never thought that these ages were older. There is one woman that I swear when I met her, and it had to have been, gosh, close to, I mean, it's been like 30 years ago, 35 years ago. And I thought she was old at the time. And she's still not old. She's in her 70s, I think. But I thought she had to have been in her 70s back then. I mean, my God, she had to have been like 40. It just blows my mind. Rabbit Flea's 58. Esky Gal 61. Yeah, I wonder if there are any survivors of the. I need to look that up. If you see anything, send it to me. Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, y'all. And thank you for everybody that donated memberships. That it means the world to me. It really does, and it helps pay the bills that the channel incurs. So anyway, I'm gonna go, and I will be back tomorrow. I've got 2 shows planned for tomorrow. So, and then sometime I've got to do the Temu haul with Veta. We've got a real cute one that we're gonna do where everything was under $1, and she'll like that. And then I've got another just regular one. So everybody have a great day, night, whatever, tomorrow until I see you again. I love you guys. Mwah. See you later.